Think you know what happened to Duncan at the end of Jurassic World Rebirth? Well, think again. Almost nothing is known about how Duncan himself survived this death trap of an encounter. I mean, we literally see him come face to face with the D-Rex just before he assumingly meets his demise. Now, we all know that isn't true because Duncan turns up right at the very end, but how does he go from this, I mean being face to face with the D-Rex, to seemingly escaping unharmed? Well, I'm going to reveal all that in today's video, my friends, so get ready. And immediately, I'd like to address something about the D-Rex and the way it hunts, because this is going to be key in how Duncan actually survives later on in the movie. You see, we see the D-Rex for what, an all of 5 to 10 minutes of screen time throughout the entirety of the movie, but believe it or not, that actually gives us enough information to work out an awful lot about this creature. You see, in one of the first early scenes we get to see of the D-Rex, it's hinted at and shown that the D-Rex is actually drawn to light. That's obvious because we know it chases Duncan, very much like the T-Rex, and we can assume, literally because it has T-Rex DNA in it, it's literally following what the T-Rex does in following the flare, right? That makes sense. It also explains why the D-Rex doesn't venture away from the main part of the facility, because that's powered by loads of lights. The D-Rex is going to stay there because, again, it's drawn to all these lights in the facility. But there's something I found extremely confusing. I mean, yes, we know it chases Duncan, we'll get onto that later, but before that, it almost seems as if it's not a super aggressive predator. We have this entire scene where the girl comes out of the sewers, the rest of the crew are trapped in the sewers behind some bars. The girl squeezes through the bars, and she's going to release the bars so everyone else can get out, from the sewers. But here's the thing, the D-Rex is right there, watching the girl, watching the people in the sewers, but at no point does it make an attack or go to attack the girl. It seems more curious about to actually what's going on than seeing these people as prey items. Granted, it then does attack the main nasty man and chops him in half. But up until that point, it didn't look like it was going to attack the little girl. Or so I initially thought. You see, as I said earlier, it's clearly inherited some traits from the T-Rex. Obviously, like the T-Rex was drawn to the flare/light, the D-Rex is now also drawn to the flare/light. So could it be then that this D-Rex has inherited the T-Rex's poor eyesight, just like Rexy in the first film? I mean, that would make sense too, right? And yes, I know, in the real world, the T-Rex does have amazing eyesight, but this isn't the real world, this is Jurassic Park/world. So then this all started to make sense. The D-Rex didn't outright attack half of its prey because it couldn't see them effectively. I mean, the little girl was standing basically motionless, and if the D-Rex inherited the poor eyesight, it would have a very hard job in seeing it. This is when obviously Duncan then pops the flare, starts waving it around menacingly. This attracts the attention of the D-Rex, again, exactly the same as the T-Rex in the original Jurassic Park. You see the similarities I'm picking out here? And further to this, have you also noticed that the D-Rex doesn't seem to be running around like an absolute lunatic? It seems to be moving rather slow, methodically even. I mean, when Duncan is running away with his flare, dives into the water, the D-Rex isn't running and galloping, chasing after it at full speed. It's almost as if it's walking after Duncan. Again, intrigued, just following the flare. It probably can't even see Duncan all that well. Well, that is until it gets up really close at the very end, again, which I will come on to soon. If you look at the way it kills the first scientist in the trailer, again, very slow. It's not going straight in for the kill as if it's super hungry and wants to ravage its prey. It's literally standing behind him, watching him, and he does exactly the same to the main nasty executive man. He doesn't go straight in for the kill. He slowly brings his hands in, grabs him, and is watching him this entire time, almost as if it's trying to work out its prey. And I know you're probably asking, well, what does that mean? Well, look at the way it's observing the humans, both of them, almost as if it's intrigued, fascinated even. That could suggest and show signs of intelligence. But for us to know the signs of intelligence, we'd have to know the full makeup of the D-Rex. We know it's a mixture of T-Rex and other animals, right? But have we got the full list? What other things could they have been experimenting on with this D-Rex? Hence why they kept it alive. We know they kept it alive because it was worth an awful lot of money, but what happens if they had T-Rex, Velociraptor potentially, human DNA even? This would cause all these genetic mutations, these tumors we see throughout his body, even the bulbous head. That could even suggest a massive brain cavity, I suppose. A big brain, who knows? But the point I'm getting at is here, the D-Rex might actually be a very intelligent animal. Look at the Indominus, for example. She was extremely intelligent. The fact here is, it's almost toying with its prey, cat and mouse style. Coupled with what I said earlier, I think we've got a genetically modified mutant dinosaur here, which is intelligent, drawn to light, and I'd like to bring it back to the original question now. With all this now known, with the backstory going on here, why didn't it kill Duncan when it got face to face with him? I mean, it's so so close, even if Duncan went underwater, to the left, to the right, he would have a hard job escaping his grasp, right? Well, if you really wanted to, you could go down the lines and say, well, the D-Rex wasn't hungry, he literally just fed. I mean, he ate that man, right? I mean, that isn't a very satisfying answer and wouldn't explain even why the D-Rex decided to chase after the flare and Duncan respectively. And it's just not narratively satisfying anyway. You see, here's the thing, this is how I believe Duncan actually got away, even from this likely fatal encounter. I mean, he's literally within arm's grasp of this giant D-Rex monster. But as we know, the D-Rex is massively drawn to this flare. In front of a prey item, well, what we could assume the D-Rex sees as a prey item, Duncan literally lights up the flare, it turns his attention directly to Duncan. And it doesn't massively chase after him, it slowly goes after the flare. So we can assume in this situation where he has Duncan trapped, literally back against the wall job, if Duncan still has that flare and decided to throw it potentially either behind him or to one of the sides, the D-Rex's attention would turn to that, right? This would give Duncan a chance to either A, go underwater, kinda like the Therizinosaurus scene in Dominion, or B, get the hell out of Dodge and go to the left, swimming after the boat, which actually seems most likely. It seems likely that he threw the flare to the right, the D-Rex got distracted, looked at it, and he chose that moment to leave, exit, and go after the boat. The confusing thing here is though, why didn't the D-Rex chase after Duncan? I mean, sure, it's dark, it was distracted by the flare, but wasn't the entire thing that he was after Duncan and the flare? Would he just leave Duncan go? That would suggest that it isn't a very intelligent animal, right? Well, not necessarily. As I said earlier on, it probably has poor eyesight from the from the T-Rex. And with it having that poor eyesight, it would have followed the flare first and then come back for Duncan, right? But here's where things get messy. If that was the case, then why didn't Rexy follow the flare in the original Jurassic Park when Ian Malcolm threw it? You see where I'm going here? Well, one could say that it was quite dark where Duncan was, the D-Rex followed the flare, when Duncan threw it, the D-Rex turns back, Duncan's obviously long gone and would have a hard time tracking him down now in near enough low lighting conditions and poor eyesight, right? And especially if Duncan was under the water swimming after the boat, or swimming out to shore, you know, basically where they pick him up. If he went under the water after the flare went and swam out a little bit, I'd find it hard to believe that the D-Rex would be able to track him down. And not only that, there is additional evidence to suggest that Duncan could have thrown the flare right up over the top of the D-Rex, because remember, the D-Rex actually turns around and comes back for the boat. So after Duncan then slipped away, the D-Rex is already turned around, looking back towards the harbour, the flare would have gone out potentially, and the only source it could see with its low-level eyesight wouldn't have been Duncan, it would have been the glare of the harbour/dock with these extra people on it. So that is why the D-Rex then goes back to the boat area, because it's the only thing it can see. Duncan's gone, the flare is now potentially gone out, and it goes back towards the light sources. But another question has to be asked here. What happens to the D-Rex after they leave? Well, for that's purely a speculation video. We only have the information we have from screen. So we'd only be speculating how the D-Rex would survive after that initial encounter. And let's be honest, it'll be exactly the same as how the D-Rex survived before all these people came to the island. We know it makes its nest in the center island because of all the light sources. We also know it could likely go out and hunt a titanosaur. I know a lot of people in the comments are like, oh, I can't hunt a titanosaur, but we actually know it can. The paleontologist/museum guy even says that the titanosaur is a prey item for some dinosaurs. You know, planting the seed there for us to think, oh, the D-Rex could hunt these down. And with that being said, we can now confidently say that the reason Duncan escaped is because of the D-Rex's poor eyesight, coupled with him throwing the flare, and then potentially going underwater to escape. We've solved that one, but there's one thing which still confuses me. How did the D-Rex initially escape? I know a lot of people say, oh, it's the Snickers wrapper, but the entire system gets reset and locked down by this guy here, and later on we see the door open. So someone must have opened that door, right? Well, believe it or not, there's a huge theory with the US Army and the helicopter which you see here, and I highly recommend checking this video out now that you've finished watching this one. Go do it now, trust me. And don't forget to subscribe, because I'm trying to beat Alan Grant in subscribers, so make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and help me beat him. Massive thanks to the YouTube members who are on screen now, DVM Wannabe 1018, Hammer Time, and our Jurassic CEO, Joseph Frost's Ghost. Thanks, guys. And if you came across the D-Rex out in the open without a flare, could your day get any worse? You bet Jurassic can. Catch you later.